didn't see any report on that in the paper.
Okay,
Can I continue?
sure can.
Maybe you should start from the top before you were rudely interrupted.
All right.
You can get a grasp of this.
I, Dean Perry, would like to advise Commissioner David Sorensen and Dorothy Solomon that I'm filing a public formal grievance against you for the abuse of authority as elected public official and for your failure to properly, ethically enforce your duties as mandated in New Hampshire RSA 28 due to your actions concerning my harassment grievance against CCDOC, which was formally filed on June 13th, 2012. It's also my wish for this grievance to be handled publicly due to the actions of this board. Since filing my harassment grievance on June 13th, 2012, these two commissioners have acted in an unprofessional and biased manner. They collectively and knowingly have made several false statements, broken several county and state policies, and have violated my civil rights. These commissioners have not only allowed the harassment and retaliation against me to continue, but are now taking an active part in it as well. When I approached this commission on June 13th with my concerns of an unfair demotion and suspension, I was informed by Commissioner Sorensen that the commissioners not only approved the actions, but support the superintendent's actions fully. Commissioner Kenny then stated she did not support this comment as she did not feel the severity of the action against me was justified. It was at this time I personally handed the board a formal harassment grievance against CCDOC and requested a formal investigation to be done into these actions by an unbiased outside source. I then made it clear I would only speak to the investigator as factual information of my grievance due to the officials involved and due to my fear of continued harassment and retaliation. Commissioner Sorensen granted this request. I also asked that the HR generalist not be involved in any way due to direct conflict of interest, which was understood and supported by Commissioner Kenny. In fact, since my grievance was filed, these two commissioners have not only repeatedly ignored my request, but has allowed the individual to deny me access to my own file and allowed her to pass my personal file to several people without my knowledge. When I was finally allowed to view my file, I noticed important documentation concerning my grievance has been removed. The two commissioners continue to allow this individual to attend all hearings despite my request and the request of Commissioner Kenny. They then placed her in direct charge of all documents, evidence, information concerning my grievance and matters I have requested after filing. Per a letter dated June 22nd, 2012, the HR generalist admits she personally reviewed my personnel file with the Superintendent Johnson and Captain Fowler, both who are a part of the grievance. This individual has no authority to commit such acts. All these actions were allowed under the direction of and supervision of Commissioners Sorensen and Solomon. These actions in their entirety are direct violations of County Policy 7E100 and New Hampshire Statute RSAs 3139A, 354A, and 147A. I find this not only to be intentional, but very disturbing, considering on June 1st, 2011, both Solomon and Sorensen carried a motion stating, with the exception of the HR director, no one will view the personnel records without prior approval and vote of the Board of Commissioners. Commissioner Sorensen followed by stating personnel records are not to be viewed by anyone without permission of that person. Furthermore, the commissioners continue to try to force me to turn over my factual information to them concerning my grievance. They have also involved several other county employees in their effort to achieve this. I refuse to turn over or speak to them about the information I have, as it is obvious they are not to be trusted and cannot ensure the integrity of such information based on previous actions. On July 9th, I wrote a letter to the commissioners stating my concerns of their unethical actions and failure to provide me with a proper investigation. I was informed that due to their actions, the web of family connections and professional friendships, all aspects of the county government were involved in my grievance in some way, either directly or indirectly. I asked for Sorensen to stand behind his word and allow a formal, unbiased investigation by an outside, unconnected source. I received no response on my letter, but I was informed by yet another county employee that I had to report to a hearing on July 11, 2012. On July 11, 2012, Sorensen informed me the investigation had taken place and was complete, and I now had to present my information to them. I questioned this as I was not spoken to by anyone and had been aware of any investigation, had not been aware. Sorensen informed me that the investigator did not have to speak to me in order to complete his investigation. I then asked how this could be considered fair and unbiased and wanted to know who and when and who conducted the investigation, as the whole process made no sense and was completely one-sided. Superintendent Johnson stated that he personally drove the files to a fellow superintendent and then later personally retrieved the files and delivered them to the commissioners. Commissioner Kenny then
That's right.
said she was surprised to hear this, as the other two commissioners never informed her the investigation took place or by who. I then had to request repeatedly that I be given a copy of this investigative report. When Sorensen finally allowed me to have a copy, I was shocked. This is not an investigative report, but a personal letter addressed to Superintendent Johnson. In reading the letter, it became evident that this letter was written per Superintendent Johnson's request, and all the information in it was intended to be used as a peer review only. It also became evident that Captain Fowler had also spoken to this individual concerning various issues, which included review of my personnel file. All these actions are also a violation of county policy and my civil rights. The fact that Sorensen and Solomon excluded Kenny and in this process further proves they intend to handle the grievance the way they see fit, despite breaking many laws. I find it completely unprofessional, unethical, and these commissioners are allowing Superintendent Johnson to use this personal letter as a formal investigative report into my grievance against the CCDOC, when the letter clearly states, as the writer is not an attorney and have not completed an independent investigation, and is intended to be used as a peer review from superintendent to another. As an 8-year employee of this county, I refuse to be subject to the good old boy antics of these commissioners and the people they support any longer. I'm making my grievance public to expose the actions and to ensure that the harassment grievance is properly dealt with. Commissioners have no professional structure for formal procedures in place for non-union employees as to how a grievance is handled or investigated, especially when it involves the highest of county officials. As a sole supervising agent,
I would question that you read that one. My recommendation would be to skip that, because that was in non-public, and another paragraph that you read was in non-public also. So I'm asking that you skip that paragraph and go to the last paragraph.
I asked once again the board to remember the obligations to discontinue its unlawful and unethical acts towards me. I also want to make the board aware that I will not allow this treatment, nor will I allow my grievance to be swept under the Carroll County carpet any longer. I expect to be treated fairly and my grievance to be handled in a professional, legal, and ethical manner.
Any further comments?
Nope.
Oh, board.
all I have to say.